What is going on, my beautiful people? I just want to say welcome to yet again another episode of the Pivot Mindset Podcast. Listen, guys, I am super excited to have you here with us this morning. You could be listening to any podcast in the world, but you have decided to click on this podcast and check in with me, your host. My name is Justin, and this podcast is all about the pivots. Our goal, our purpose here for this podcast is to help you make life's pivots, because here we believe that life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make life's pivots, you make a conscious choice to be successful. Those who decide to make life pivots decide to be successful. I am trying to get off of the high that I've been on the last probably 3 to 4 days. For any of you that are in the U.S. listening to this, we just got past Thanksgiving, our Thanksgiving holiday here in the U.S. And man, just always great to be able to connect and hang with family. For me personally, just kind of brief story, and many of you can identify with this in that, anytime that you're working extremely hard or you're trying to accomplish something significant, it could mean that you don't hang around family as much, or you don't see your loved ones as much. The people that you're really doing it for, sometimes you're not with them that much and seeing them and talking with them that much. So for me, I really, just found it an honor to be able to hang with my loved ones, hang with my immediate family, and really just kind of take it all down and get away from the work, get away from the grind, if you will, get away from really pushing and just be relaxing with family. So I hope that all of you, if you're listening to this, I hope that you enjoyed your time with family for this holiday. I also know that Thanksgiving and holidays in general aren't easy for everyone. I know, I am fortunate enough that I don't have some of the challenges that other people may around the holiday season and the anxiety and the depression and things like that. So if that is you, if you're somebody who do struggle during, the end of the year and during this holiday season and time, I just want to first say that I'm praying for you. But then two, I think it's super important to connect with communities and groups of people that can continue to help you and support you. So I hope that this podcast is one of those platforms that you can listen to help and really guide you and just give you kind of the strength needed to continue on. But also reach out to me on socials or any of that to, and I may have some other recommendations for you or some people for you that may be able to help and support you during the tough time and tough season. So I wanted to put that out there. And as always, guys, if you are listening to this and you are finding value in our podcast that we're releasing every single week, please, please, please write a review. I'm so thankful. We've gotten a great amount of reviews on our social or our podcast platforms, but please continue to do that. That helps us tremendously with getting the message out. It helps us with the algorithm. So not only when you give it a 5-star review, but also when you write a nice little 1 or 2 sentence blurb about what you get in what your experience is of the podcast. So just some housekeeping I wanted to get out the way, and super thankful that that all of you are listening, engaging with the content, as well as starting to write reviews, et cetera, and things like that. But the topic that I want to talk about today, and I want to implore your mind. I want to implore your mind for a little bit. But a book that I read, and this episode is kind of inspired by that book that I read. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm actually showing it in the YouTube video. But there's this book that I picked up probably 3 to 4 years ago, and it's by one of my favorite authors, Tim Ferriss. And Tim Ferriss has this book, and it's called Tribe of Mentors. He's got many books. He's, I think, mostly known for the 4-Hour Workweek book that he has, which is a phenomenal book. I love it. It's a great book. I try to read that one almost once a year. I've read that, I think, 3 times since the first time I've actually read it. But he also has another book. So he's got Tribe of Mentors and Tools of Titans. For this episode, I really want to talk about not necessarily this book, but the concept that's going to shape and frame up our topic of conversation today. So he's got a book that's called Tribe of Mentors. And it wasn't until I started to read this book that I understood how important it was for everyone to have their own tribe of mentors. I believe that it is extremely important for you, no matter where you are in life, doesn't matter what you're trying to accomplish, doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're trying to do something that you don't have in your own strength or wheelhouse to do, meaning you have to access some new information, a new mindset, maybe a new community or new friend group. I think it's important that every single person have a tribe of mentors. And I do believe that most people already have, and maybe they don't call it a tribe of mentors, but I do believe that most people have what they would call like a sounding board of people that they get advice from and that they talk things through and they try to get clarity, or when maybe they're going through a hard place in life and they really lean and depend on people. Maybe it's family, maybe it's close friends or loved ones. Maybe it's mentors of some sort. Maybe it's coaches or psychiatrists or counselors. But I believe that most people understand the concept of having mentors or having a tribe of mentors. And so for today's podcast, I want to talk about your tribe. I want to dive deep into the concept of building and understanding who your tribe of mentors are. And really my goal with this episode is I really want to help people get intentional about who is on the executive team of you. Like if you thought about yourself as a business or an organization, and those in businesses and organizations and corporations all have boards or executive committees or board of directors. They have these people that look at the business from a very high level perspective, and their goal is bringing a good board that have different diversities on that board and different ways of thinking. And the intent is that bringing that information together for the greater good of the organization or the greater good of the business. And so what if you started thinking about yourself as a corporation, which most of you are? What if you started to think about yourself as an organization? And often the organization will only go as far as the board of directors can drive it. And this is why, when we see challenges with an organization, or they've experienced some failure, or they didn't have the success that they thought they would. This is why many of these organizations, they change around their board, or they may even change their CEO, just like a non-performing coach or non-performing sports team. When the team isn't performing well, typically you'll see a change of the regime, and that's typically from the coach on down, head coach to his assistants, often, et cetera, right? But we get it from a business perspective often, and from a team and a sports perspective. But who is on your board of directors? Who is in your tribe of mentors? And see, I believe that mentors and building your tribe of people that can pour into your life is so valuable to each and every one of our success. All of us have heard that stat out there that says that you are the sum total of the 5 people that you hang around with, right? And I think most people identify and agree with that statement. But it's one thing to have peers that you connect with, and there's another thing to have people that you look up to that can help drive you in a specific part of your life. And so it's not just about the people that you hang around with the most. It's not just around your friends and your family members that you hang around with the most that are important. But equally as important is those that are at the top that are helping drive the direction, your board of directors and your tribe, right? And then also, how do you identify mentors and befriend them, right? And how do you build that, right? These are all topics that we're going to dive into in this episode. So please relax, grab some popcorn if you'd like. And I really want to just kind of take my time and slow grow this. I really want to dive into this because I think it's so important. It's such a critical topic, and it's been so important in my life. And something that I'm actively looking at is I'm always looking at my tribe, and any time in my board, and any time that I feel like I'm limited in something, I'm trying to see who can I implore, who can I grab and add to my circle or my sphere of influence to really help me strengthen whatever that area is. So I've got some stats for you. So and did quite a bit of research on this particular topic. So according to some of these stats here, 71% of Fortune 500 companies have mentoring programs. 93% of self-made millionaires they attribute their success to a mentor. Here's another stat. 67% of businesses report an increase in productivity due to mentorship. Mentees are 5 times more likely to be promoted within an organization. And I would even take that a step further. I believe mentees, people who have been mentored, are just 5 times, if not more, likely to accomplish any kind of goal, right? So if their goal was to be promoted, they'll accomplish that. But I believe that people who have mentors, if their goal is to lose weight, they got somebody helping them, guiding them throughout the process, that they will accomplish that. And then here's another one. 84% of CEOs said mentors had helped them avoid costly mistakes. One of the underbellies, right, of climbing maybe a corporate ladder or doing something of significance is the cost it actually takes, right? It's easy to think about what you're going to get as a result of you accomplishing something, but it can be sometimes challenging to really get clear on the things you have to give up to get it. It's so easy to celebrate what you'll do once you actually get the success. But what I love to hear people talking about is, what are the things that you actually have to give up? And there's quite a bit that you truly have to give up. And in that process of giving up, what these CEOs are talking about in this study is that mentors help them avoid costly mistakes. They help them not have to give up as much as they probably would have had to have given up had they not had a mentor, right? And so there's this really cool book out there by Tom Corley, who wrote the book called Rich Habits, and it's a study on rich people and their habits. And I'm using money for the frame of this conversation, but we're talking about mentorship across the board. But I think when I use it in the realm of money, it's sometimes easily to contextualize than talking about sometimes things that don't necessarily have a metric that you can measure to identify what success looks like in that particular area, right? So, but according to this stat he talked about in his book, 85% of millionaires read 2 or more books a month, and they chose books that helped them grow, including topics like careers, biographies of successful people, self-help books, health books, current events, psychology, and leadership. So this, I think, status is so important because 85, almost 9 out of every 10 millionaires read at least 1 book, typically 2 books per month. And you may be asking, why is that, right? Because, and this is something that whether you like to read or not, and I don't believe that 85% of these millionaires like to read books. I just think that they are obsessed with getting more information. And wherever that information is where they will go. So more than just sitting down and reading a book, it's not necessarily that they fall in love with the process of sitting down and reading a book. I don't believe that, and that's not what they love. They are intentional about gathering data and getting information that they can then make decisions based off of, because information is truly power, right? And even further than that, wisdom, which is the proper use of that information, is deadly, right? If you've got wisdom, meaning you've got knowledge and you understand the timing and the context and when, why, and how you should do things, you'll be undefeated. You'll be unbeatable, right? So, but I bring that up because mentorship, and as we talk about your tribe of mentors, is they're not just in your life. Our goal isn't just to get mentors to say you hang around, people that are successful in areas you want to be successful in. But mentors have a way of being able to shorten the learning curve, or shorten the time shorten the time it's going to take for you to be successful. So you can often, especially now, this is the information age, you could go out there and learn and Google and research and watch YouTube videos and maybe take a course here and there and, go to a seminar or go to a conference, and you could get super intentional about learning a segment of information, right? Or learning an industry, or learning a career space, or learning a vertical of business. You could get really in tune and spend tons of time doing that. But when you have a mentor or even a coach, even further, if you got a coach, somebody that could come alongside you, they will typically help shorten that learning curve and shorten the time that you would have otherwise spent if you tried to do it on your own. And I believe that is really the biggest, if I were to simplify, one of the biggest reasons why mentorship and having a tribe of mentors is so important is because you can go out and do it yourself. If you've got the hustle, if you've got the grit, you're probably going to be successful anyway. I believe there's just some people who, no matter what, they're going to be successful anyway. But when you have the right people around you, they're going to shorten that time that it's going to take you to be successful. Because as a result, they can help you walk through the process and identify where those shortcomings can be, or where those pitfalls are, or give you their resources, or give you some of their contacts, et cetera. Right. And so I mentioned it earlier, but we understand that, you make an average, according to some of the stats that out there, that you make an average of the 5 people you hang around. But I believe it goes a little further than that. I believe that you also average, the vehicle that you drive is also the average of the 5 people that you hang around with. I believe that the house that you live in is also the average of the 5 people that you hang around and spend the most time with, right? So it's not just the money. It's not just what you make, but as a result, right? Like, you making a certain amount that puts you in a tax bracket, and that puts you in a class of life that you then live and base your life off around, right? So it's not just like one tangible thing, but it's about how one thing impacts all the other aspects of our lives, right? So if we want to make more money, if we want to be more successful, if we want to lose weight, if we want to have a better relationship with our spouse, if we want to have a better family dynamic, if we want to travel more, whatever your goals are, if you want to be known for being an author, or you want to be a prolific speaker, or you want to climb Mount Everest, no matter what your goal is, you will see an extreme amount of value. You will shorten the learning curve, and you will shorten the path to success if you have a tribe of people that you can identify, and that also, here's the kicker, not just people that you can bounce ideas from, but people that are also mutually invested in your goals and in the things that you're trying to accomplish. So there's a dynamic here that there's a difference. And when I'm talking about tribe of mentors, I'm not just saying that it's important to have people to talk to and just vent to, but you also have to have people in your life that when you hurt, they hurt. You have to have people in your life that when you fail at something, they too fail, because they feel so connected with supporting you, and they feel so connected with your success that they also share in the risk and the rewards of your success. It's going to be very challenging when you have somebody that doesn't necessarily care about your outcome, right? I don't believe those are real solid and good mentors. You need people in your life that's going to bleed when you bleed. That goes through it just like you go through it when you have some type of failure, or celebrates and feels as great as you feel when you have a level of success. But that only comes when you have somebody that you're connected with that are mutually invested in your success and as well as in your failures. So I got some other information here. I got some other stats that I want to be able to break down for you guys. So the United States, catch this, the United States has about 20 million millionaires, according to the Global Wealth Report, and this is a stat from the year of 2020. So about just over 20. So it's a little over 20 million millionaires in all of the United States. Now, the U.S. also, I believe, has like 359 million people. So what it really breaks down to is about 17% of the U.S. have at least a net worth of $1 million. So as a country, if you're in the United States of America, almost 20%, almost 2 out of every 10 people are millionaires. Almost 2 out of every 10. And I believe as a country, we are by far, that stat is by far higher than any other country. But what that tells me though, and because the thing is about these stats is if you check the same stat from 2017, we had about 15 million millionaires. So as a country, we have increased by 5 million millionaires. 5 million millionaires. This is kind of a tongue twister. We've increased by 5 million millionaires in the last 3 years. So we are as the years go up, the pace in which people are becoming millionaires they're at a higher rate. People are becoming millionaires at a much faster rate. But I believe that this is all because of the age that we're in. We're in the information age right now, right? So we are in this age where information is everywhere. And 30 years ago, you would have to use an encyclopedia, or you would have to have someone that was connected, or you would have to be raised in a family that knew, or a family of affluence to get any type of understanding, or you would have to find it in a book, right? Like if we look at 30 years ago plus. But now, because all the information is out there, again, you could almost accomplish anything that you want to accomplish by Googling something on social, or Googling something on the internet. Outside of like getting certain degrees and things like that, you can't necessarily accomplish that. But when it comes to understanding what it takes to build a business, structure a business, sell product, be a better public speaker, climb Mount Everest, get stronger, get faster. Like there's so much information out there, right? And I believe that information has increased our rate of millionaires, because what did we talk about a little bit earlier in the episode? Those who have, like, millionaires are desperately looking for information. And it's because they know that only thing that's limiting them from taking the next step is the right information. And if you have the right information, you can have a high level of success just by having just the right information, right? So even more so, and this is why the percentages are so high, that 93% of self-made millionaires attribute their success to mentorship, right? So if we see all these stats out there, if we understand what the numbers are, if we see the breakdown, if we see how things are stacking up and why people have mentors, I want to push you in this episode to start identifying who is on your tribe of mentors. Who is your tribe of mentors? Now, some of you may be saying, hey, I live in rural Wisconsin and I don't know anybody that would be remotely doing what I'm interested in. Here's something that I've got for you. Is one, obviously social media is out there, and so we can almost connect with any and everyone. Our world, the globalization of our world has polarized so many industries, right? Because I can easily speak with somebody across the globe in a snap of a finger. I can easily send a message to somebody that lives in 5 time zones different than I am. So the globalization of our world has made our world extremely small. And as a result, somebody doesn't have to live close to us to gain a certain level of information. But here's what I started to embrace as when I really began my personal development journey and really started to tap into books and tap into new information and really began to change my mindset and expand my thinking, is I began to get so ingrained with books. And I began to read. And it wasn't because I loved reading. Again, I'm not a reader. Like, I'm not somebody that just can sit down and read books for hours and hours. I actually prefer to listen to audiobooks. And if for me, if the audiobook is really good and I've taken a lot of information from the audiobook, then I'll buy the physical book so that I can write in the margins, highlight it, mark it up, things like that, and keep it in my library forever. But for me, initially, before I became important to a mentor, because I think there's an aspects of this that you got to be a good mentee to get a good mentor. So before I became a good mentee, authors were my mentors, right? Because if you can find a way to string a few different books, right? And if you read somebody's book, you're literally reading often for them what is a culmination of years of experience, years of life, years of trials, years of success, years of failures. They typically in a book will culminate and combine all of that information into one book title. So if I am reading somebody's book, to me, that person had right then and there became my mentor. That person had given me advice. They had given me clarity on certain things. They had given me a way to shorten my time, my time frame that it would take me to be successful. That is now your mentor, right? So even if you're somebody out there and you say, man, I can't connect with people that like maybe my ideal mentor, read their book. Does that person have a book? Does that person have a blog? Does that person have a YouTube video that you can continue to watch? I've had tons of mentors, and I still have tons of mentors that do not know who I am. They have no idea who this Justin dude is, but they have poured so much in my life because of the content and information that they put out in the world. And so often before we get a real strong mentor that we have personally, it may mean that we've got to help ourselves, and that we've got to take the first step to engaging and getting connected with new and right information so that we can level up our own lives and become a better mentee for the right mentor. Because I'm gonna be honest, there's for me, I've got people in my life, not necessarily in my life, I've got people that I want to be a mentee to. I would love for them to mentor me, but I don't make enough money for them for me to be a mentee. I don't have enough success yet for me to be a mentee. And I've come to the realization, right, that there's levels to this, and I've got to be a mentee on my level, right? And often for us, like that, to me, a great mentee is someone who is, maybe 5 to 10 years ahead of you, meaning like in the next 5 years, if you continue to stay on your pace, that you would eventually accomplish what they've got. It can be hard to get a mentee or get a mentor that's so far ahead of you. You may be living paycheck to paycheck, and to get somebody that makes $10 million a year, it may be a challenge and a stretch to get that person as a mentor in your life. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, your next mentor probably is the person that makes $100,000 a year. If you are overweight, significantly, your next mentor may not be somebody that has the perfect body and just competed, in a body figure competition. Your next mentor may be somebody that, just dropped 50 pounds or just dropped, so I believe it's super important to make sure that we are finding these relationships that are close enough that we can glean great information from, but also there is a value component that I believe we have to be ready to give our mentors as a result. So what do I mean by this? So when it comes to mentor and mentee relationships, it is a symbiotic relationship. I've got people that I personally mentor, and I don't just mentor them because I don't have anything else to do with my time, but I mentor them because there's a what's in it for me, and there's a what's in it for them. And from a mentor perspective, often it's easier to mentor people, and it's extremely fulfilling to mentor somebody that you identify with yourself at that point, or when they were, their current age or in their current position. So, so it goes both ways, right? So for me, I believe when I look at my most successful mentor-mentee relationships, the ones that I've got, I've got a component where I can look back and work with somebody and mentor somebody that is where I was 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, but I can also look forward and be getting mentored by somebody that is where I want to be in the next 5 or 10 years. And so there's that dynamic that I hope to really encapsulate a little bit closer on, like, what should we be looking for in the right mentors, right? Because there's also an aspect of this that you don't have to have one mentor for everything in your life. I've got mentors for certain segments and parts of me. I've got mentors that are extremely good with their money, and they are the ones who talk and speak into my life about money. I've got mentors that are extremely successful in marriage and in their relationship with their spouse, and they've got a beautiful family. Those are the people that get to speak and pour specifically into my family. I've got mentors that have run successful businesses, and I love the way that they lead their teams, and I love how they treat people and how they think, and how they've got a level of faith that I believe pushes them to that next level. They push and pour into me in that way. So when we say tribe, I believe it's important to identify what this tribe looks like. Who is on your personal board? Who is riding on your bus? Who is the people that can speak in certain aspects of your life? And you don't have to have one person that speaks into all those aspects. You can have 4 or 5 different people that you just dedicate and put boundaries on your relationship around a certain aspect of your life. And that's what I've seen. That's something that I've learned and gleaned from the really successful, is that they don't necessarily just have one person that speaks into all their areas, but they're always learning. They may have mentors that are much younger than them that are great at maybe a new technology or something that's emerging, or some new thing that's starting to come out, right? So you have this pool, this whole tribe that you're starting to put together, right? And so a few other things is, one of the main indicators of your success is going to be your access to information. It's going to be the access of information. And when you have the right people in your lives, and I've talked about it before, they will help, they will expose you to the right level of information. And there's places that relationship will get you that a book cannot get you. I repeat that again. There are places in your life that the right relationship will usher you into the room that a book cannot. The book may be good to help you having good substance and structure and context and clarity once you get into the room, having the good head knowledge once you get into the room. But some of you are just one relationship away from getting in the right room, and just closing yourself off, sitting in your bedroom and reading books all day is not going to get you there. You need to mix the information that you're getting from the books as well as with building relationships with people to allow you to walk into the next step, to walk into that next phase of life. Most of my opportunities that I've ever been introduced to that were significant opportunities in my life, most of them did not come from me reading a book. Most of them came from me connecting with somebody and them giving me a level of information, as well as borrowing their resources. And that may have been borrowing their relationships, or being a part, or being asked to come into a meeting, or being invited to an event. And once I got in the room, then I was able to walk in my gifts and walking my strengths and be all that I was called to be. And so you need both. You need mentors and you need the information. You need the book. And I believe, again, and I'm kind of like hitting this point home tons in this episode here, but it is so valuable for your success in whatever area of life that is, that you're connected with not just information, but you're connected with people that can help you shorten that gap and can help teach you the rules of those rooms that you want to be in. Okay? So your best investment will always be in people. I've got mentors that I've had to spend money to meet with them. I've had to pay them to do lunch. I've had to fly out to a different part of the world to meet them where they were, because that was their only moment that they could break away from their chaotic world and just have some alone time. You may have to make an investment. It's going to be an investment in time. It's going to be an investment in sometimes your resources, right? It's not just about what you're going to get. It's not just about who you're going to be, but it's also about what you're going to give up to get it. When you find the right mentorship, I believe it's super important to invest in it. And you get to leapfrog and shorten the time frame of accomplishment, right? And so one of the things that, and I'm gonna end it here, is, if any of you don't know, I am a coach. I work with businesses and I work with high performers, and I help coach them in aspects of either their business or aspects of their life. And when people work with me as a coach, what they are asking me to do is help see their lives from a perspective that they cannot. There is a difference in you having someone that is looking at your life from a third-party point of view, that doesn't understand your relationships, that doesn't understand how intimately you're involved with a certain career path or a certain business, and they can just be 30,000-foot view and see things holistically, not emotionally, not based on your experiences, not based on all you've been through, right? And so the value that I bring to them isn't that I help them accomplish something that they couldn't have accomplished on their own, like I've said it earlier. But when I am coaching and working with people, what I'm bringing them is context. What I am bringing them is a third-party perspective. What I'm helping them do is get clear on what they want. I'm asking them questions that if you're not careful, you can go through life asking yourself the wrong questions. And so this whole mentor-mentee thing is so important. And now that I've been in this space for quite some time and working directly with people, whether that be consulting, whether that be in coaching, whether that be personal development, I'm starting to really realize how imminent your success is when you're connected with the right people. And so I challenge you again, the challenge at the beginning of this episode is I'm challenging you, if you're listening to this episode and you're going to take an action step this week, is you start to build out your tribe of mentors, and that you start to get more intentional with the people that you honor and the people that have accomplished what you're looking to accomplish, and you start getting those people closer to you. You start bringing those individuals into your sphere of influence, and that may first need to start with books and information and getting right knowledge first, but eventually you have to begin networking and building relationships and get in the right rooms, because it's going to be the people that get you into the room, and it won't always be just the book that you read or the course that you took or the seminar that you got into, right? People will help you leapfrog the time that it's going to take you to be successful. And so I push you and I encourage you in that. Go out this week, guys. Let's take action and let's build our tribe of mentors. Some people may need to get off our board. Some people may need to get out of our lives. We may realize, like, holy cow, like I am building a life that I don't want, and it's based on the people that I have around me. Some of you may have to make some hard decisions this week if you really want to build and be successful in any area of your life. All right. So thank you for listening to this episode, man. Again, please leave a rate, leave a review. If anything was said during this episode here that resonated with you, I encourage you to please tell your friends, tell people about this podcast, the Pivot Mindset Podcast, where we believe that life is truly all about the pivots. And you see, those who make the pivots, those are the people who decide to be successful. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace.